What's going on, everyone? We are live. Alan will be here in a little bit, but I got an extra special guest for you today, Dr. Alan Chen. What's going on, brother?
The other Alan.
Yeah,
I'm doing well, sir.
You guys look exactly the same.
Clearly,
It's
yes.
almost like
We're just interchangeable.
He doesn't even need to come on the show, to be honest with you. We could just have you here. People won't even know.
But he'll be here shortly. Yeah.
So tell us about yourself and where people can find you, brother.
Yeah. So real briefly, I'm a pediatric radiologist by day, and I do a bunch of other stuff at night. But anyway, including social media. My YouTube channel is on my little handle here at Your Health Unplugged, where I talk about how basically the everyday American can get themselves out of the mainstream healthcare system, and also point out the many difficulties that we have with the healthcare system. I mean, that they're too numerous to count. I have no shortage of content whatsoever to talk about. But yeah, and also just seeing what other ways are out there to gain better health besides just throwing drugs at people or doing procedures, very expensive procedures. So getting people just kind of thinking of other ways to get to the root cause of the problems rather than just being thrown into the vortex that is the healthcare system these days.
Yeah, Alan, how you doing, man? I was enjoying the other Alan. You can go. We're good.
I'm out later.
Hey, you go. This is an all remote podcast. I'm over here I'm in Ohio, which people might know us for JD Vance. That's really about all good that came out of Ohio.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
and I'm in my living room. The wife is using the studio right now. The normal 6 p.m. class, or 6 p.m. Central Time class. She teaches like 14 classes a week. She's insane. So it's crazy.
Well, I had to move it because I have a call, and I appreciate you guys accommodating me. But
our pleasure.
I'm not working today, so I'm good.
a lot of what we do, Alan and I, in a roundabout way, we're obviously we're not doctors. Like, we are doctors. If Dr. Dre can be a doctor, I can be a doctor.
That's right.
But so our goal, and obviously people probably listen to you better when we bring up things that is probably very similar to what you say. The first thing people say are, what do you know? You're not a doctor. But what's funny is you got doctors like Dr. Peter McCullough, who he literally was part of the team that invented the mRNA shot. And they're like, well, you're not the right kind of doctor because you don't fit this narrative. What I want to ask you is, even though you're a doctor, if you don't say things that the narrative supports, that the messaging of that side supports, do you still get blowback like we do for being an idiot?
Well, the good part about my current job is that I can easily stay away from those topics because I get to the point with them in terms of I talk to other doctors about their specific patients and what I can do for them. So they tend to not coincide with each other, which has actually been good for me. And probably a lot of them don't know I even have a channel. So that's also good too. But regardless, though, I have opinions, so I'm free to say them, at least for now. Do I get pushback though? Not really, actually. It's maybe because of the fact that most people don't really know what my opinions are. So
it's a good place to be.
Yeah, it's a good place to be. I guess when 2021 came around with the vaccines, that was a little bit different because that was quite annoying, where I had colleagues like literally 6 feet away from my office door, like saying to me, like, hey, did you get the vaccine? Did you get the vaccine? And it was just the most annoying thing ever. And it was like one after, like, literally almost every week they're shuffling by. And so that kind of thing, like, it was bad back then, where people just knew, like, oh, like, he's anti-vax, blah, blah, blah. And that's probably the most pushback I ever got. And we did have some degree of forcefulness, if you will, in terms of if you didn't get the vaccine, then you might get some reprimanding about it. Like, I know a bunch of people got fired as a result, but that wasn't the case with my practice back then. So that I was pretty lucky right now to be where I am right now and still be able to work in the healthcare system as it is right now and still able to express my opinions and not get a ton of pushback for it. And I think also, frankly, we're just really busy because we're in a doctor shortage at the moment. And every time I'm at work, I'm just like, I can't do much else anyway because
Yeah.
it's the work has become workload's become almost unbearable.
Why do you
Yeah,
think the
it's
workload's become so much?
Yeah, so doctor shortages, especially my specific specialty, uh, nobody wants to do it. So that's good for me because then the demand's there.
you should have become a proctologist. Who wants to become a butt doctor?
Oh, well,
That'd be a tough job.
that
Pain
would
in the
be
ass.
that would also that I would question
Yes.
whoever goes into that. But anyway, hey, to each his own. Whatever you have to do to make money, it's your business. But yeah, no, that's number one, especially with the very highly specialized specialties. Like I'm pretty much like a subspecialty in a specialty. Sorry, subspecialty in a specialty. So those, like, when you get to more, much more specialized areas, that's when the shortages happen. And also, my specialty is not very sexy because it's a lot of, when you, especially when you deal with kids and you see like bad shit happening to kids, it's not the most emotionally. It can be very emotionally volatile because then you feel for the kids and you want to do the best that you can and that sort of thing, and you don't want to see anything bad to happen to them. So, but I see cases of child abuse, cancer, and so I see a lot of sad things happen. So that's partly due to that. But yeah, and also just the populations of sick people have just increased by a lot. I
Really?
mentioned this on the last show that I was on. DFW area alone has, I think, 3 major children's hospital systems. I believe it's Children's Health, Cook, and I believe it's Baylor. But yeah, like that many major, just specifically children's hospitals in the DFW complex area. Where, yeah, I mean that means we have that much demand for that many hospital systems, that they don't, they still have enough money or enough patients for them to make enough money to stay open. So it's pretty, there's that as well. So the supply has increased, the demand has increased, but we don't have a ton of manpower to be able to hold it. And it's not just my specialty, but plenty of others as well.
What kind of you say that there's more sick people now? When did that happen, and what kind of sicknesses, might I ask?
I mean, it's been growing over time for lots of reasons, not just cancer. It's partly in line with the trends of obesity. So obviously, there's plenty of obesity complications. We can rattle them off one by one, but don't forget, though, in kids, though, childhood obesity is also going up, so that's not helping things. And cancer's gone up. A lot of things have gone up. Chronic disease has gone up. So again, the more chronic conditions that come into play, the more you can circulate patients, and they keep coming back for more. They have ER visits, they have sick visits, they have all sorts of follow-up visits. That it just overloads the healthcare system in general. So a combination of all that, and yeah, I believe strongly that we have a higher sick population in general. That's been growing over time. I firmly believe that that's been the case as well.
Yeah, that's that. So would you say that obesity is the main driver? That's because that's the one thing you listed. And obesity, the crazy thing about obesity is that it is the comorbidity of all comorbidities.
Yeah.
If there's a virus going around, you're more likely to very, very, very sick from it. If you get a normal sickness that a fit individual can handle, an overweight or obese individual, it could be deadly to them. So I look at obesity. I mean, it's I mean, they label it the new smoking, but I think it's kind of worse than smoking. I think it's because food's readily available. Like smoking, you have limits. But everybody can get fat. The poorest people in the country are the fattest people, which is friggin' amazing. Like we are so well off in this country that our poor people are. It used to be, if you went to like back in the kingdom days, like you'd see like the king was fat, everybody else was famished. Now you see that the higher you go up on the socioeconomic ladder, the more fit people are, and the lower you go down when there should be a scarcity of food, the fatter people get. It is insane.
It's flipped. Yeah, it's counterintuitive. Yeah, because back in the day, back in the old days, it used to be the opposite. Whereas obesity was a sign that you had you had a lot of food available to you that you can get fat. Whereas the peasants were a lot scrawnier and skinnier. So why that might be though nowadays, I mean, I would say the higher socioeconomic classes have a lot more access to services, enter Ozempic, enter gastric bypass, enter endless amount of training they can get, personal training, all the like. Whereas the lower socioeconomic classes have SNAP, which has a whole bunch of junk in there.
Yeah.
And then lack of access to those resources because they just can't pay for it. And also a lack of knowledge and awareness of just kind of what's bad for them. They just kind of go by what's available to them, and what's available to them is absolute crap. So I mean, that's where we are right now. And that's why our channels exist in general, is that we're trying to educate not just, the top 1%, but everybody really to get healthier, not just, the select few. What we're talking about is for everybody.
What's crazy going socioeconomics real quick, Alan, is that the poorest people in this country can have a $1,200 phone and get fat. Like that's crazy. Could you imagine rolling around the 1800s, right? And there's like a peasant on the street begging for food. You're like, if you were just a couple more centuries, just 2 more centuries, you would have a smartphone that can literally do everything for you and surf the internet, and you could be fat. He'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? This is wild. Sorry, Alan, go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. No, I mean, that's also priorities too. Yeah.
I was just like, but when you think about it, and this is where like I get labeled to be like the conspiracy theorist of all conspiracy theorists, I guess, but it's purposeful. Like, I mean, I was in the healthcare industry, you're in the healthcare industry. It's very clear that both through, and this is not to insult you, but doctors are not qualified to treat half of what they treat. Like an MD should not be prescribing an antidepressant. They don't get trained on it at all. It's just because of the pharmaceutical, they're able to prescribe it. Like if you walk into a doctor's office and say, I'm kind of depressed, and they give you a pill, that's not mental health care. That's drug dealing, and that happens on a daily basis with children and everything. But also it just seems like doctors are not given the viable knowledge they need. I think it's something like 80% of all medical schools have no nutritional training at all. I mean, I think you said when we talked last time that you had like 1 week of nutritional training, which is,
and it wasn't even about like the like protein, fats, carbs, or anything about like fruits, vegetables, that kind of thing. It was all artificial nutrition, like tube feeds, TPN, total parenteral nutrition. So basically all the artificial stuff.
Yeah. So it's like, nutrition's not even a thing. So then it leads to wonder, are doctors qualified to treat metabolic disorder, because they don't know where metabolic disorder comes from, and very frankly, they're not giving a complementary nutrition plan when they leave. Like for a diabetic person not to be on keto or carnivore should be considered self-harm. Like when you're consistently blasting your system with insulin, it should be self-harm. But then there's also the fact that like little things that you and I have discussed before about health in general are not discussed in medical school because it's mostly a memorization thing.
Yes.
The concept I've been talking a lot about lately, Farr's law, is a mathematical computation to show the waves of different pandemics, and it's held solid for the last 50 pandemics, 200 fucking years, right? And most doctors have never even heard of it. It's wild to me. So do you think that's purposeful? Like, I mean, one could make an argument that the healthcare industry purposefully keeps people ignorant and sick so they can make money. How is that argument refuted?
That what we learn in medical school is purposeful.
It's purposeful to like. I believe that the healthcare industry, along with the government,
Yeah.
are purposefully leading people down a path of ill health for profit.
Mm-hmm. I mean, so how is that argument refuted? Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah. How can that argument be refuted?
I can't find a reason, but I'm sure somebody else can.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like here's a common thing that medicine does do nowadays is that we use like one or two cases and we kind of make them general law. So what I mean by that is, let's say we have a bad outcome with a certain treatment for a certain disease for some reason, and the patient ends up suing, and then the hospital loses a ton of money. Well, unfortunately, that one case gets now put into policy for the hospital, and it's something absolutely ridiculous where you have to sign 2 more forms before you prescribe that medication or something like that. And then it turns into this whole ordeal where it's like, well, why the heck do we do this in the first place when it happens to be that one case where we just got unlucky? And then we made basically a mountain out of a molehill. So we do that quite a bit where we over exaggerate certain things when they don't need to be. So I guess in the answer to, so how does that relate to refuting the hypothesis, I guess? I think that's they use those kinds of cases, those like small little cases, like, oh, what we're doing is actually helpful to patients and it's not harming them and whatnot. That's the only way I can think of it right off the top of my head, to be honest with you. You'll have to debate that with someone who's thinks differently than I do.
Okay. I was wondering if you had a possible thought on it.
Yeah, I mean, I never thought about the opposite case, I guess. I just thought about it the way I thought about it.
Too funny.
Yeah.
That is fast. So what's crazy is that even though we have a doctor shortage, we do not have a bureaucracy shortage.
No.
Oh. Like have you seen the charts of like if the doctor level is like this,
it's
and
like
then
basically
the actual
even.
admin levels like straight through the roof. What are they administrating? Like, what are they doing? What are they doing? I would fire. I would be the Elon Musk of hospitals. Be like, you're fired. You're fired. I'd be like, I wouldn't even give them severance. I'd be like, you've been ripping us off long enough. Get out of here. I don't understand. And I understand because I've worked in corporations. So in corporations, everybody thinks, oh, we're doing this. We need to hire someone else. But you got to realize the average person in the workforce out of an 8-hour day, you're lucky to get 2 hours of actual work.
Mm-hmm.
So it's understood, but that's just the nature of corporations. So I just think that it's a way to enrich themselves, get reports to them. It's really wild when it should be about, I can imagine a 1-to-1 admin to doctor ratio. Maybe in fact, I'd say 1 to 0.5. Instead, it's like 100-to-1. Yeah. It baffles me. And these are private companies. So I understand why people don't want to go into medicine. You go into medicine all those years. I'm Jewish, dude. My mom, well, I'm assuming you're Asian.
I guess so, yeah.
Okay.
That's the first time I learned about it.
So like every Jewish mother out there, everyone, your son's either gonna be a doctor or a lawyer. Yes. That's the thing. And I understand that in cultures like the Jewish culture, the Asian culture, there's such a drive for professional excellence that when you think about a profession that's really fucking dope, that's just like top of the line, you're one of the best in the world, it's a doctor. Mm-hmm. And it's a lawyer. It's like, oh, those guys are litigating, they're saving lives. And it's always known for like being rich, right? We've all seen the Cosby Show before he became a rapist. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I had to preface that. I don't want people to accuse me of any Diddy stuff tonight.
Oh,
so I'm just, so for me, I'm just like, how do you make that leap to go into medicine? Cause you're going to be paying off student loans till you're 80. And it's a hell of an undertaking. So
Mhm.
what makes someone like you, who seems to be a very, very smart individual, be like, I'm going to go to med school?
So interesting thing about me is I actually applied when I was in high school.
Really?
So yeah, I did one of those accelerated programs where I had to apply during high school, and then I got in both college and medical school at the same time, barring
Living
that.
that living that Asian stereotype, huh?
Man,
Yes,
he is
exactly,
just, he
100%.
is just.
I'm checking all the Asian stereotype boxes one by one. Trust me. We can
So
go
what
into
they did
we can go into
here.
chess club, math league, and all that stuff. I can go even further than that.
Hey,
But anyway,
hey, so Alan, when he submitted that application, they're like, name Alan Chen. He's in.
Yeah, he's
They
a.
didn't even.
oh no no
They
no no
didn't even
no!
know.
Hold on. We haven't gone through DEI yet. Let's leave that discussion for. Let me table that
Oh,
for
no.
a little bit
No, they
later. But I'm sure we're gonna
you
get to that
Asians,
later. But
you Asians get screwed more than the whites, man.
uh-huh.
Asian, because when I was in high school, I lived in California, and the only reason I started playing football, the main reason, is because I needed a scholarship because I couldn't afford college. I was poor, so I'm like, I'm not going to get in with my brain. And at that time, Asians and whites, the UC system was like, we're not letting any of them in. We're just, it's going to be really. They were honest. They were on the news like, yeah, if you're white or Asian, you're pretty much not going to get in. It was
Mhm.
crazy. I'm sitting there like, oh shit, there goes my state tuition, And so I'm like, well, F it, man. I'm going to have to get good at a sport. And football was the only sport where it really required no skill. You just had to run fast and hit people. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I can do that, So yeah, oh man, I'm getting so far out of. I'm sorry, Alan. It's been a long week. I'm
Yeah,
I'm all
it's
over
all
the
good,
place.
man.
I've insulted Asians. I've insulted
Bill
DEI,
Cosby.
affirmative action. I've insulted molesters and rapists. I've insulted everybody.
Uh-huh.
No, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's all good, man. So let's start with. Oh yeah, so yeah, me as a high schooler, yeah, I applied to both college and medical schools. So it was an accelerated program. So I actually got to skip a year of college. So that helped in the whole tuition thing. It was very attractive
Asian.
for it was very attractive for those that were already driven and know what they were doing. However, I would probably not recommend that for most people, because most we had a very high or rather low retention rate, because either when you go to college you want to do something else, or you can't get the good enough grades to stay in the program. So there's a lot of things that get in the way that most of us actually, from the start of the college year, the first year of college, and by the time they finish medical school, like most of us we're not the same population starting out. So a lot of people either leave or do an extra year or whatever. So yeah, at that time, probably I didn't know any better, because I have an older sister and an older brother. They're both doctors as well. So I was just like kind of following their footsteps at the time. And also I was learning from them too, because doing it this way was much easier way to get from point A to point B. And yes, one of the biggest misnomers at this point about being a doctor, because everybody thinks, oh, doctors are rich and they make a shitload of money and blah 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 blah. Nowadays, I think the last statistic I heard was that the average medical student graduating from medical school is in $250K in debt, and it's probably higher now with inflation. And I've also seen some of the tuition rates in my alma mater, Albany Med, where they've increased quite a bit. So yeah, already being in $250,000 debt, then having to go into residency, which then the debt will start, the interest will start accruing. So yeah, they are at a much more of a disadvantage. So, you're alluding to this before, like me personally, like I would not recommend folks to go to medical school right now, unless you want to have your first six-figure job at 31, like I did. You need to prepare ahead of time and know what student loans are, because again, most college students don't actually know what they are or what they mean, or how the heck does they get so big, and they just sign a dotted line and just like, oh, okay, let's go to college and spend a whole bunch of money. So yeah, it's not a it doesn't seem very, very enticing to a lot of people if you just look at the math and the numbers behind it all. It's a lot of sacrifice as well. I mean, I went through shit and hell throughout medical school and residency, both because I was young. I was a young kid, 21, entering medical school. Like it's a whole different world. A lot of more competition, and I'm also competing against folks who have been out and about in the workforce, and they've had a lot different experiences than I do. They're much more mature than I am. It was difficult. It was very difficult, and it cost a lot of my social life, a lot of my personal life as well. I've had issues with that. So that, I'm 37 now. I'm at a point where now things are starting to calm down a little bit, but I now have, the extra knowledge and wisdom to be able to say that, yeah, I mean, medical school's fucking tough and it may not be worth it for a lot of people these days.
Yeah, I did not recommend my kids go into that. So I'd like to segue into health. I mean, people, a lot of people watch our stuff. We do have political takes on here, but at the end of the day, we're both health people, and that's what we've been doing for most of our adult lives. So when I look at health, and you're looking at society as a whole, your excuse me, your goal. I'm choking on my own saliva. Your goal is to make people as healthy as possible and get them out of the constant merry-go-round that is the medical industrial complex. So what would you say would be your top ways to do that? Where are you seeing people go off? Let me give you an example. I talked to a heart surgeon, Dr. Anmol Kapoor. He's an awesome guy. He's out of Canada. And he thinks that what's causing these heart problems are microplastics. That's one of the main drivers, which I've never heard before. It was fascinating. But if you're looking overall at how to make people healthier, what is your high level approach to that?
Right. So the way I format my channel is trying to increase awareness, but it's not by just feeding you the information. It's more of like exposure therapy, and also trying to get you to ask the questions yourself. And I kind of guide that along the way as to what questions made that be, or who to point the fingers at or whatnot. Yeah, I mean, I try to get people to ask the questions, and rather than just being fed fed whatever is being fed to them through education or social media or mainstream media, and not just accept it at face value. Like, think about what they're actually saying and what kind of lens they're coming from, and then be able to assess the knowledge appropriately so that they can make appropriate decisions and also do any more research that they want to do. So it's really more so of how to approach all that information rather than just being fed the information. I just kind of also bring up certain stories that sort of go through a lot of those basic concepts as well, as to what to look for, how to approach the information, and so on and so forth. That's kind of the basis of the channel. It's not terribly sexy. It's not terribly rage baity or clickbaity, although I do some of that stuff every now and then. But it's just kind of getting people to sort of think for themselves a lot more, and also search for information themselves. Because I can only do so much. It's really up to you, and your body the best. You should know what to search for what you desperately need.
Okay. Now, from a diet perspective, and this is a lot of people, have issues. There's so much information out there about nutrition, and their doctor's not going to help them because they're not trained in nutrition. They're just not. So when looking at diving into obesity, and I love hearing opinions, because we've had people on from Dr. Sean Baker's a carnivore guy to, you name it. I'm more of a Mediterranean diet type guy. That kind of a baseline, olive oils, healthy meats, lean meats, all that good stuff. So when looking at diet approach, what are your approaches to diet?
So number one, there's no one diet that suits every single person in the world. So that's number one. Everybody's a little bit different. They react to certain foods differently, and it's not a cookie cutter thing. Like, I'm not a hardcore vegan, hardcore carnivore, hardcore keto, whatever. There's a time and a place for all of it. Well, except for veganism, but be that as it may. Number two is you have to listen to your body. So if something doesn't feel right after you eat a certain food, like let's say, for example, for me, after I eat a piece of cake with a lot of sugar in it, I get a nasty headache. Well, don't treat the headache, treat what actually caused the headache. Think about what may have led to that headache. Not just take ibuprofen for it. That's what happens to me. I mean, it may be for some other people, it may be something different where you get brain fog. There's plenty of different ways that people react to certain foods, and you just got to listen to your body and do what's best for that. And then lastly, the approaches, it depends on what kind of state they're in terms of or what their goals are. So for example, if somebody wanted to lose a bunch of weight, I would just kind of do an overhaul of what they typically eat and find things that they can replace it with something healthier. That's like the least invasive approach to diet, is take whatever they got and then just try to start replacing it with better alternatives. But if people want an absolute reset, I would actually start carnivore and then slowly add in other foods to see how their body reacts to it. So it's more of a kind of a very scientific approach kind of deal, where you start with one thing, see what happens to your body at one point, and then kind of gauge it, then start adding different foods along in addition to it, so that you can keep keep as many constants as possible and not have too many variables going on at the same time. And then slowly kind of build what your actual diet looks like. And then you can sort of figure it out from there. It's obviously not a sexy approach. It's not a quick approach, but it's a very calculated approach that allows you to take the steps to figuring out what's best for you.
Yeah, that's an inclusionary diet, not an exclusionary, because exclusionary, you cut out a food, see if you feel good. That one's like you're cutting everything out, going down to what we know is pretty hypoallergenic. Humans are meant to eat meat. So I actually like that. I never thought of that. I like that approach. When you go back to veganism, you said everything but veganism. What do you got against the vegans?
So I can't hear. I'm having trouble hearing for some reason. Did we cut out?
Can you hear me, Alan? I can't hear you. Oh, you're muted. Check.
I can hear you.
All right,
he left.
Yeah, the vegans just attacked his internet, man.
Yeah, the vegans fucked him up, man.
The vegans were on there hacking his computer. Like, fuck this guy. Yeah. We can't do this anymore. It's funny, Alan, of all the people we've interviewed, I don't think I've ever heard anybody promote a vegan lifestyle of any doctor. And maybe it's just the doctors we have on, because the other doctors probably wouldn't come on our show, because vegan doctors tend to be extremely liberal. And even though we don't talk about politics with Dr. Alan Chen, I think that they're afraid we will. And when I had Dr. Anmol Kapoor on, he's in Canada, and I didn't expect, I'm like, dude, he's Canadian. This guy's a doctor in Canada, socialism. And what he said about the COVID vaccine was so fascinating, because he's like, I think we overreacted, and that's human nature. And what we really lacked is informed consent. And I was sitting there like, what the hell? I've never heard, but even Dr. Kapoor, who's a heart surgeon, he's not a carnivore. Very few heart doctors are, other than Dr. Ovadia and maybe a couple others. He's a Mediterranean diet guy, which I find fascinating, because I think if we did this show 10 years ago, everybody we'd have on from a health perspective would have told us to go vegan, or at least the doctors would have. But now it seems like everybody's understood that if you're on a vegan diet, you can be healthy, but it's very hard. You can't be a whole food person, because you're not going to get, you're not getting your essential fats. You're not getting your B12. I mean, you can't get fish oil because it's from fish. And so I just think it's fascinating how we've evolved to a point where people are no longer considering the vegan diet to be a healthy option. When it was like, oh, you have high blood pressure, go vegan. Do you remember when YouTube, like this 2014 Vegan Gains came out and all these other guys came out, and it was like, and that was when I got the vegan death threats, right? Yep. And I didn't even go hard on vegans. I was just like, yeah, I'd literally film a video of me eating a hamburger in my daily vlog. And next thing you know, I'm getting death threats. And people are like, oh, the steroids in the meat are going to explode your heart. And I'm like,
oh, God.
What? I'm not allowed to eat hamburgers anymore? What kind of friggin' Nazis are you?
It's wild, man. Like, I'm always it's very interesting to hear how crazy the vegans get, but yet they can't substantiate what they're talking about. You know, like, and don't get me wrong, if you want to be vegan, eat all the fucking tofu you can. It less for me, and I'm happy about that shit. But I don't like, because tofu's gross. I don't give a fuck what nobody says. That shit's
Dude,
gross.
the texture is so bad. It's like semen cubes.
Semen cubes, Jesus Christ, that's going to be in my head forever now. Thank you. Jesus.
See, look what you did, Dr. Chen. You made us start talking about this. We were talking about tofu.
Oh, okay. I'm glad I missed that.
It looks like you filled an ice tray of semen and you froze it and you took it out and here's your tofu.
Yeah. I'm not proud of that being an Asian thing. That's definitely an Asian thing, and I'm not proud of that.
Yeah, you should renounce it. Just renounce it.
Oh no, I definitely do. Yeah.
Oh, you guys came out with rice, right? Isn't that you? Or do you just like it?
No, I still like. This is why I can't be carnivore, because I still love my rice, still love my noodles. Like,
how do you eat sushi? Like, I went to a sushi bar once, and I was like, I was lower carb. I was like, it was at the time when I'm gonna try this out, and I'm like, this is terrible. Who would eat raw fish without rice around it? Like, what kind of sick bastard came up with that?
Well, you're talking about sashimi or sushi?
Sashimi.
You
need to have the rice to absorb the soy sauce.
I guess, but or you could just not have soy sauce.
Yeah, that's true.
What kind of sick people are you? Like, you need your soy sauce.
Just do it. Just get it in there.
It's just not as
Shove it down the gullet. Shove it down the gullet. I don't know.
It's just not as good. So we were talking about vegans before they hacked your computer.
Conspiracy theory. Yep.
So why would you say every diet is good? Well, except vegan diet. Like, what's your response to that?
Yeah, I think the main problem is the fact that they allow so much processed food. Like, if you look at any of the products, I forgot what the Beyond Meats, for example, when you look at their nutrition labels, they're so full of like fake shit. And I'm like, and also like, processed vitamins and all that stuff. Like, they try to make it seem like it's healthy. It's just like, it's like basically all lab grown crap, and that's, a lot of their diets. I mean, I understand, there's stuff that's not like that, like actual vegetables and beans and nuts and whatnot, but they allow into the realm of veganism that part, and a lot of it also is loaded with sugar too. And the other part about veganism is that the best form of protein is through meats, like through animal meats. Same thing with fats. Like, you're really missing those two components when you're basically taking meat out of your diet completely.
Right.
And I mean, those are two important things that you need. But unfortunately, since most of us learn from the food pyramid, that should be very few servings, and we should just load ourselves up with carbs. So, I mean, it emphasizes like some of the worst foods out there is basically one of the biggest problems with veganism. Yeah.
I don't think we talk about cholesterol enough. Your body, like all of your hormones, like estrogen, testosterone, they're all from cholesterol. And cholesterol is a chemical steroid. It's really odd that we villainize cholesterol when it's one of the most critical things your human body. Now, you don't want to, obviously, that doesn't mean just go and mainline cholesterol, right? But I do not think a diet devoid of cholesterol is a good idea at all. I mean, for any kind of hormonal function, for any kind of sustainable lifestyle, when I was in the 90s, cholesterol, if you ate cholesterol, you're dying and you're going straight to hell. You're doing a horrible thing. But then we realized, okay, maybe we were wrong about that, right? Like they never talked about good cholesterol, bad cholesterol, how different people, 80% of your cholesterol number is a genetic factor. So I just think that we don't talk enough about the importance of cholesterol in one's diet.
Well, not to mention your cell membrane is mostly cholesterol. That's how the cell functions. You're absolutely right. You hit the nail on the head on that one. There's another conspiracy theory behind that, by the way. Back when they were putting out statins, they were trying to get the threshold for what a normal cholesterol is to be lower so that you get people to have more statins. So now I think statins are $1 trillion market now, if I'm not mistaken. That's ridiculous. Like trillion with a T. Like that's, it's out of control. And it's all based upon just moving the goalpost with the labs. And I can name multiple instances of where the goalposts have been moved, enter testosterone, where that goalpost was moved as well. A lot of things in medicine, unfortunately, were designed like that. And I didn't notice in medical school. I had no freaking clue that any of that was even possible or people would do such a thing. But here we are. A lot of things that I say on my channels and on this show too, like I've never learned it in medical school. Like, probably maybe 1% of what I learned in medical school I actually use today.
Wow, that's fucking crazy.
I would say so.
What's your opinion on statins?
Necessary for the folks who are genetically predisposed. I guess that's the word. Yeah. With the genetic predispositions, familial hypocholesterolemia, the like. For everybody else, that the threshold overall for cholesterol should be a lot higher than it actually is now.
Higher.
Yeah. I can't give you the exact number, like what that should be, because that requires a lot more data collection. But I would say we can decrease that statin number of $1 trillion industry to maybe like $100,000, I guess.
100,000,
maybe. I mean, that may be too low, but like, but you get the point. Like we way over diagnose or over treat with statins because we like dish it out like candy, like antidepressants these days.
So what are the negatives to statins if you don't need them?
I think, let me recall real quick. I believe muscle breakdown.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh gosh. This is stuff that I have to look up every now and then because that's the big one though. It's like it's not rhabdomyolysis. It's let's see.
It causes severe myopathy.
Yes.
They report. I think it's 5 to 15%. I think it's more like 30 to 40% of people get severe myopathy, which is in lack of better term, for a layman's terms, it's muscle soreness, but severe
muscle damage. Yeah.
Severe muscle soreness. And then you got to ask, why would lowering cholesterol via statin cause severe myopathy? So you got to look at the pathways that it's going on. And I don't know the pathway it's causing it. I just know it causes it. But I look at the fact that it's also causing muscle breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
And also you look at old people who are, the main candidates for this. What are the main causes of morbidity is sarcopenia.
Yep. So,
I mean, it is a whole cascade of shit that goes from overprescribing statins that nobody wants to talk about. Sarcopenia, is crazy.
Yeah. So liver damage, I'm looking at also, and here's an interesting one. So one of the reported side effects is increased blood sugar levels.
Yeah. So then that's
which leads to type 2 diabetes.
Yeah.
More drugs, and here's
it's whack-a-mole. You got metformin, you got the statin, and then you got to go on a BP medication, obviously. Yeah. So some man, I can't think of the name, but yeah, you're just it's whack-a-mole. One substance causes one issue, so you take that substance to get that issue taken care of. Then you take another substance that issue taken care of. Next thing you know, you're on, what is the average? 9 medications, Alan, at that
Yep.
age?
It's 10, I think, for an inpatient. Yeah, I believe it's 10. Yeah.
And like, but the funny thing is, nine flags to CMS. Earlier we were talking. By the way, we were talking about a lot of the administrative costs and all like that. I will be the first to admit that a huge portion of the administration is due to the government being involved with healthcare, because government payments, there's a whole department in every hospital that's about Medicare, Medicaid payments, reimbursement, those sorts of things. Like entire meetings handled on rug rates and all like that. The federal government does, in fact, require a certain amount of bureaucracy, because one person can't possibly do all the billing and everything like that. And frankly, uh, you want a human hand on that. But the medications, that's the cash cow. Like, I mean, if you go to any assisted living, the average person's probably on 12 to 14 medications plus physiotherapy. Like, they just fucking milk it. It's like you could just, like, it's like the udders are like, okay, here's the prescription, here's the physical therapy, here's the care, here's the food, here's this. Like, they just milk it for money and money and money, right? But then we're talking about statins. The thing that I find amazing is, 30 years ago, a total cholesterol of 350 didn't even phase people. People are like, like they didn't even give a shit, you know. And the only people that, when I was growing up, and I'm older than Mark, and we're both older than you, but the only people when I was a teenager that had heart attacks in their late 50s were people that you knew fucked their life up with lifestyle. It was like accepted. Like, unless you had some sort of very serious predisposition to heart disease or something like that, the people that that had this shit happen to them, they fucked themselves. They lifestyled themselves there, right?
Mhm.
And now everybody lifestyles themselves. So now we just, to ease the blow of people being complete shitheads about their health, we just say, oh, you're just predisposed to it, and oh, family this, family that, blah blah blah. It's like, how,
Acceptance. Yeah.
yeah, no, it's literally how we got to the point where, like, people are like, oh, obesity runs in my family. Like, bitch, nobody runs in your family. That's why you're fucking fat. Like, I mean, that's the fucking problem. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh my
it doesn't,
God.
like, if you don't eat I don't. I've written articles about this. I've done all sorts of stuff like this. If you know, if you have the worst case of PCOS in the world, hypothyroidism, all that shit, that might be a 10. If in massively extreme cases of compounded nature, all the data points to you may take a 15 to 20% hit on your basal metabolic rate. That doesn't change the fact that you can still control what you eat, move your body more, do all these things to burn more calories. There is not one human being in the world that is doomed to be morbidly obese. Not one.
Mhm.
Just the same way that there's very few people that are doomed to have to be on something like a statin, which, by the way, uh, I mean, just to be realistic, like, I am not a fan of statins. I think that the prophylaxis method of them being used on, like, hey, you're 40 years old now, you're a dude, you might want to go on a statin just to
Yeah.
prevent you from heart disease. And then 5 years later, you can't get your dick hard, and you're fucking having memory problems, and your testosterone levels are 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's a horrible thing. But I mean, that's my thought process on those several things. You know, I wanted to be we want to be Mark has a meeting coming up here, so we want to be critical of time. If as a last question, if you could do anything to help the public health, like the generalized public health of America, to just try to stave off chronic illness, just one thing, like, it can't be like go on this diet, blah blah blah. Like, if you could do one thing, one piece of suggested advice to the American population, what would it be as a doctor?
So not necessarily be able to like change something, just a piece of advice for the public.
Yeah.
Yeah. The best things in life come. I guess you have to. Let me think about this for a second. How to phrase this properly. Nothing good comes easy, so you have to be able to do the work, get the knowledge, execute, and rinse and repeat to basically get to where you want to be. Otherwise, if you don't do the work, then you don't expect good results.
Right.
We lost that culture in the United States, especially, where everything's convenient. I can order groceries to my door and get it here in 30 minutes if I wanted to. There's, we have so much access to information on our phones and our computers that everything's just so almost too convenient. We have a convenience crisis right now. But not having to put in the work to get to where you want to be, like don't expect a good result. And just kind of be aware as to what's around you. What are the external forces that are causing this epidemic that we have going on right now of chronic disease, obesity, and the like. Just keep, and ask the questions, I guess, also. Yeah. So maybe that'd be 3 things, but ask the questions and always, don't just take everything for face value. I mean, everything that we say, like, confirm it, like, see, and see if we make any sense or we're just full of shit. Like I say that all the time. Like, I mean, I may not know everything, but that's okay. And I'm okay to be corrected too. Like if somebody points out something I said wrong, okay, great. Then I'll admit that I made a mistake and I'll admit to it and I'll learn next time. Whereas unfortunately, a lot of doctors, especially after COVID, when they were showing the data that they were wrong the whole time, they either ignore it or pass it off or just double down on it. It's kind of crazy actually that happens, especially for a specialty like medicine. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, just keep, it's all about just being proactive, really. That's really what the whole theme is. Just be proactive. Don't let any external force take control of your life. You have to take it by the horns, take your life by the horns and go after it.
Very good.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, dude, we got to have you back on. I spent so much time. We spent so much time talking about medical. Like you're back. There's so much more I want to ask.
Yeah, it's endless actually. How much stuff we can talk about.
Yeah, because it's fascinating. But anyway, man, I appreciate you having. Where can people find you? Can they buy stuff from you so we can?
That will be coming soon, actually. But you can find me right now. YouTube at Your Health Unplugged. I'm also on Rumble in case I do get canceled on YouTube, which could happen.
Yes.
Instagram at unplugged.md. That's where all my fun shorts are. I'm also just started Twitter and TikTok, both at unplugged_doc, DOC. So yeah, if you have any opinions, you want to send me a hate comment, that's probably the best place to do it. So yeah.
I'll be sure to send a hate comment immediately.
Nice. You'll be getting plenty from being associated with us.
Yeah, definitely. I need to catch up in the department to you guys because I need to get some more hate comments. Maybe I'm not controversial enough. Oh yeah, it'll come. I'm sure it will.
It'll come.
Be patient.
The vegans will come.
Yeah.
Give it like 3 minutes and the vegans will come.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on, brother. We appreciate you, and we'll see everybody here Thursday. And be sure buy some stuff if he ever sells it. Till he has stuff to sell, follow him so when he does have stuff to sell, he can let you know.
Appreciate it, guys.
That's outstanding. All right, sir. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great evening. We'll be back Thursday, and I will be back in my normal setup. I believe Mark will be also. I don't know, but it depends. We'll see. It depends on where he's being drawn to next. All right, folks. I hope you have a great day. Goddamn.
The Holy Trinity Bundle isn't just about weight loss, it's about empowering you to find your healthiest, happiest self. Let's talk about what's in the bundle and how it caters specifically to our needs. First, we got Ember, which is not just any fat burner. It's also gonna boost your mood, your energy levels, while also suppressing your appetite. And if you're worried about it being too strong, you can split the tablet in half to tailor its impact. Next, we have Alchemy NCT, which turns the carbs that you eat into energy and not fat. Yes, energy, not fat. This is our way of making sure that the meals that you eat contribute positively to your weight loss journey. And girls, we all know that we want that. And finally, no morbidity. This one's my favorite because it works while you sleep. It burns fat and controls those nighttime cravings without any stimulants, so you wake up feeling refreshed. Try it out and feel the genuine difference. Here's to new beginnings and real results.